Hi, everybody. Hassan Shariq, regulated Canadian immigration consultant, back with our the weekend live session, which now I do simultaneously on YouTube and Facebook. Trust you and your families are doing really well wherever in the world you are. It's getting a little chilly here in Toronto. Last I'd say about a week or so. The wind is giving the news that winters are around the corner. So yeah, on a chilly, slightly chilly. It's still sunny, but slightly chilly Saturday morning here in Toronto. Very warm welcome to all of you, those who are regular attendees of these sessions. Thanks for joining this session over and over again and listening to me. For those of you who might be here for the first time, welcome. This is our regular session that I do, a bit of an introduction about myself. My name is Hassan Shariq. I'm based in the Greater Toronto area, specifically in the city of Mississauga in Canada, in the beautiful province of Ontario. I originally am from, my origin is from Pakistan, but I've been around the world and based in Canada for many years now. I work as a professional immigration advisor. So I hold the title of RCIC, which is the Regulated Canadian Immigration Consultants. This is the profession along with Canadian immigration lawyers who are authorized by the government of Canada to provide advice and consulting on Canadian immigration. So I practice as an RCIC over here, and I run my own firm. So this particular activity that I do on the weekends and precisely my YouTube channel, the whole idea is to explain Canadian immigration to people in general, because I feel that people all around the world are scammed, are put into frauds and stuff, where they are, a lot of these consultants, agents who are not trained in Canadian immigration law, are not authorized by the government. They take large sums of money, and a lot of times people end up losing this huge amounts of money. So the whole idea is to sort of help out people know the basics, so that they can move on to this journey of Canadian immigration without much trouble. So I'd welcome, for those of you who are here for the first time, do post your questions. If it is a very case specific question, we'll have to handle it in a different way. That you will have to write to me, to my firm, on the email address which is there on the screen. That is info@sharikimmigration.com. Otherwise, you have your questions and queries. Feel free to put those, and I'll be happy to answer. And normally the way we do it, in the beginning, I talk about some of the updates. So I will start off with some of the updates that we have for this particular week. One of the things which is doing rounds on social media, and with the goods that social media has, there are a lot of bads as well. So it is fake news at times. It's not the proper information which goes out and gets circulated. So right now, the province of Ontario, OINP, they have come up with a plan of moving towards an expression of interest system. So for the general public, you must be knowing that the Ontario PNP, which is OINP, is managed through Express Entry system. So you create your Express Entry profile, and that's how you get picked whenever they do their draws. Now, since last 2 to 3 days, everybody is posting that OINP is moving towards an expression of interest system, more like what Saskatchewan has, some other provinces have. True and not true. The true piece is that yes, there is a proposal where they are moving towards that process. I will actually put that on the screen so that we quickly have that right in front of us. OMP updates. Yeah, so I'll share the screen. Yeah. So this right in front of me is where they have their updates. And for any of you who would want to see, you can just go online. This is the website of Ontario Immigration. All the updates are there. So the proposed changes that they announced about on the 8th of September is about an expression of interest system. So it says the proposed amendment would change the OINP application process to introduce an expression of interest system. Now, keep in mind, if you go and read this in detail, this is not for all of their programs. This is only for specific programs where there is a job offer based program and international graduates. And this is more to do with how they want the system to be more efficient in terms of helping them answer to the short-term labor market shortages that are there in the province. So this affects, at least at this stage, this proposal affects or will affect, because it's still not in place, applicants who have a job offer from an Ontario employer. So a lot of these would be people who are already in the province, maybe people who've graduated, people who are outside of the province and may have obtained a job offer. This will not impact people who are looking for the PNP option, where they are part of the express entry pool and the tech draws and the general draws. That will, like right now, there is no announcement about that. So that will still be handled in the way that it was being handled. So no need to worry about that. This is something that I wanted to sort of start off, one important piece. Now moving on. I have been repeating this in terms of students who are to apply for Canadian study permit. Today is already the 12th of September. The two-stage approval process that is there, for those who would want to take a benefit of that, you have to submit your online application by 15th of September. A large number of students have actually been granted the first stage approval. So those who were able to submit their letter of acceptance, their basic financials, even when the medicals and biometrics were not in place, they've had their first stage approval. So for these students, if they start their study for the fall term, which is September up until December, and even the next intake, which is winter intake, from January up until April, even if they're studying outside of Canada, they have the first stage approval. They will be, this time period will be considered as study in Canada. So this will help them in their postgraduate work permit duration, application, and duration of grant as well. Fair enough. So these were few updates. And now I'd like to just move towards the attendees, the comments, the questions that we have. Muhammad Kareem Raza, Assalamu alaikum, wa alaikum salam. Kareem, hope you're doing well. Sunil, hello sir, I hope you're doing great. Sunil, I'm doing well. Sunil is a regular attendee of these sessions. I really like the panda picture on your avatar there. Also, I would suggest that for those of you who are attending the session, if you could mention from which country you are attending this session. This sort of gives me a feel of what the audience is. Karthik Ravi, hi Shariq, expecting ITA 474 score, and this has been the case where I've done a lot of predictions about the cutoff CRS scores, and a lot of people got attracted because of that. And then I've sort of recently backed out of it for the reason that things are very unpredictable. Things are unpredictable, and with how much fluctuation there is and so much unknown, it is very difficult to come up with the with good predictions on this. And because of that, I sort of felt, and this is not my way of operating, to give out just statements where I'm not convinced myself. So that's why I've sort of stopped doing predictions. But Karthik, 474 is a good score. If it was 475, then 474 is a score where probably next all-inclusive draw you could expect that. But I can't really say how low it will go. Okay. Muhammad Kareem Raza says, sir, I need help. Now, Kareem, you need to explain how can I help you. If it is something related to immigration, information about that, I'll definitely be explaining it to you, helping that out to you. Next, we have Cybertruck AY. Hi, I have a question. After landing on PR status while nominated by province under employer stream, can we quit the job, and will it have any implication on PR or citizenship? So from what I make out of your question is, after landing on PR status while nominated by province under employer stream, once you land in Canada and you get your permanent resident status, then it isn't a lot of issue if you sort of move around. So I don't have the exact details, but once you have your PR, you can consider moving. I'll give you an example. Once you land as an FSWP applicant, initially you're not supposed to land in Quebec, but then once you become a PR, you can move to Quebec as well. Same is the case with a lot of PNPs, where there is no real legal binding, but this can actually be an issue once you apply for your citizenship. So at the stage of citizenship, these things might actually, because there is an important aspect, which is misrepresentation. So if you misrepresent deliberately and that gets proved, that's where you can have some challenges at the stage of citizenship, although it will only be delayed. It's not that it can impact. So yes, you may consider moving somewhere else, or leaving that particular job. Sunil is asking that what occupations are in demand for OINP currently. So good question, Sunil. What I will do is that I will share the screen and I will share the professions which are in high demand in the province of Ontario. Let me share my screen. Okay. So we are again on the page of Ontario Immigrant Nominee Program, OINP. And this is, so they have two different draw streams for PNP applicants. One is their, these are not defined streams. These are under the Human Capital Priority stream, which you might see here at the top. So the broader stream is the Human Capital Priority streams, professionals who have the required skills, required profession, and are outside of Canada most probably, and they get nominated by the province of Ontario. So this is the stream, broader stream. And then they do two different kinds of draws, which I'm calling as the draw stream. One is the tech draw and one is the general draw. So in the general draw, these are the professions which are there. What I'll try doing is zoom in a bit so that, yeah. So now you might be able to see this more clearly. So some of the professions, financial managers, which is 0111, advertising, marketing, and public relations managers 0124, corporate sales managers 0601, financial auditors and accountants 1111, other financial officers 1114, professional occupations and business management consulting 1122, registered nurses 301, allied primary health practitioners 3124, dietitians and nutritionists 3132. So this set of professionals have consistently seen notification of invitations of interest by OINP. So if you have your knock within these, there's a good chance that you can be invited, although the CRS score is pretty high. Okay, then I'll move to the second set of professions. So again, I'll zoom in even a little more. Yeah. So this is the second set of professions, and this is for people with technology background, and that's where OINP conducts regular tech draws. So they have 0213 computer and information system managers. I believe it's clear on the screen. Yeah. 2147 computer engineers. 2172 database analysts and data administrators. 2173 software engineers and designers. 2174 computer programmer and interactive media developers. 2175 web designers and developers. So these are two set of professions which have had high demand in the province of Ontario. There are other professions as well, but these have had consistently being invited. So if you are one of these professions, you have a high score, which is not meeting high CRS score, which is not meeting the all-inclusive federal skilled worker program cutoff right now, but you still have a good score, let's say 460s, the CRS score. Definitely OINP is a program to consider for you, and these are the professions. So hope. So Neil, this has helped you figure out some of the professions under OINP. Moving on, Bilal has a question. Bilal is an old colleague. Bilal, I'm not able to receive your emails. I've not been able to receive your emails. I have been receiving it from other sources, but like consistently, I've got emails, but I have not been able to receive your emails. Freemion, sorry if I'm pronouncing any name wrong. Hello, sir. My salary fixed amount per year. What I really get paid? Some months less and some months more, and some months nothing. Reason: economic crisis in country Lebanon. Question: proof of funds. Now, proof of funds is a different thing from what your salary is. Salary, if it is, even if it's fluctuating, it doesn't matter as long as you're being paid for the work that you do. So I'll give you an example. There are a lot of jobs which are sales-based jobs, which are just commission-based. So you do your work, the amount of sales that you finalize, you get money based on that. So there might be a month where you're not able to do any sales deal, whereas there might be a month where you're able to do like 20 sales deals. So the actual monthly income that you get as a return of your job with that company might vary. So that's different. As long as this is the case and your employer can provide you documentation confirming that, that's fine. Proof of funds is different. Proof of funds is having enough funds with you in liquid form, like this cannot be your assets, which clearly show, which are in your ownership, and whenever you get your PR, you can show that you have these funds to cover your initial expenses once you move to Canada. So proof of funds has to be a stable amount, held in your bank account or in any other cash equivalent, like maybe a term deposit or something like that, which is there, and the amount should be stable. So it's not that it's fluctuating. Once you submit your PR application, you have to provide documentation, usually a bank statement, that you have this required fund. So for an individual, it is right now 12,900 something, about 13,000 Canadian dollars. So you have to provide those funds. So hopefully I've been able to clear this difference. Your salary amount and the proof of funds are two different things. They are not similar. Ali Raza, Assalamu alaikum. Wa alaikum Ali Raza. Ali Raza is saying, I want to contact with you. Kindly share your number. So you have the email address on the screen. It's on one of the corners, I think on this corner somewhere. You can send an email. All consultations are only done once my staff analyzes and assesses your profile. Or if you would want to directly talk, you have to book a paid consultation. So send an email with all your details, with the queries that you have on the email address provided, and my staff will get back to you. Ajay, hello Shariq. Don't call me sir. I'm still not at that level of professional career where I can be called a sir, and sir is like, I understand being a South Asian that it's like a title, so you can always call me Hassan or you can call me Shariq. So yes, Ajay, doing well, and hopefully the same. No specific question, just waiting for any sort of reply for my applications. Good luck with that, Ajay. And whenever you have a specific question, feel free to shoot that. Shayamal, what is possibilities of 454 CEC? I'm kind of backing out of it, but 454 is very close to the recent cutoff that was there. So if it is a CEC drop, you have a good chance. Now, it depends if there is a CEC drop. Akshay, hello sir, your videos are really informative. Thanks a lot, but I have one question. Sure, is LMIA is mandatory to make a valid job offer even if I work on PGWP? So a lot of times the queries are such that the wording is not all that clear, and this is one of those. If you are on a postgraduate work permit, then there is no need to get an LMIA. It is like an open work permit. And if you have a job offer, fairly fine. So if you're on a postgraduate work permit and you get a job offer, there is no need for an LMIA. And once you complete, say 1 year, you will gain points for Canadian experience. There is no need for an LMIA for a job offer made to a holder of postgraduate work permit. Hope I've answered that right. Ali Aftab, sir, I want to know, I'm an interior designer, 2 years of working experience. How much chances of AINP? Ali, AINP, Alberta Immigrant Nominee Program, and it's the details that you've provided. Say you're an interior designer, also depends what qualifications you have. These days, if you only have a bachelor's degree, like 16 years of education, qualifying for a skill migration stream is very, very difficult. Normally, if you have 17 or 18 years of education, that is when you're able to secure nominations, be it for the federal programs or provincial programs. 2 years of work experience, under the express entry system, this will give you good points, but once you hit the 3 years mark, that's when you gain the maximum points. So that's where you can increase your points. AINP, if you're talking about the Alberta Immigrant Nominee Program, AINP, yes, the nominations that they've been doing have been on low CRS, but there are only a few selected professions that they usually invite, and these are generally technology. Also, if you have a sibling who is Canadian PR or citizen and are settled in the province of Ontario, normally that is when you're able to get invitations. So keep that in mind as well. If you don't have an eligible relative in the province of Alberta, the chances of invitation aren't all that high. Although a lot of people look at the low CRS that they have and feel that they will be able to get an invitation. It's not in black and white anyway. So it's not that if you don't have a relative you cannot get an invitation, but that is how things have been historically in last, I'd say, about 12 to 18 months. In fact, about 2 years for Alberta for AINP. Freemian has a follow-up question. If my accompanying spouse has dual citizenship, should we scan both passports in APR or only the one that she will travel with? You have to provide details of all kinds of citizenship and permanent residency. So yes, you have to provide details of both passports or both citizenships. Cybertruck, thank you. Won't be leaving the province, but would only change employer. Yes, you could change that. Shyamal has another question. Right now, I'm applying as single applicant. If I'm getting PR, then after how long I can invite my spouse, and how long it will take for her process estimate time? So right now, assessing the cutoff CRS as well as giving any estimate about the processing time are probably the two most challenging things in terms of Canadian immigration. There's a lot of delays in terms of spousal sponsorship applications. The way it works is that once you land and you become PR, you can do the spousal sponsorship right away. There is no need that you have to have a job, have a certain income, or a waiting period. There are a few documents which are required. So you would a lot of people will wait for their PR cards to come, open a bank account, that sort of stuff. But as soon as you land, you become a PR, you can right away submit your spousal sponsorship application. So I would say that normally within a few weeks from landing and doing your PR formalities, you can submit spousal sponsor application. Before the COVID situation, the average time was 10 to 12 months. So in 10 to 12 months, spousal sponsorship applications were being finalized if there wasn't a delay in a specific application. But right now there's a lot of delay in that. But because you're still in the process of PR, so probably we are looking at your spousal sponsor application somewhere maybe in 8 months, 10 months from now. So by that time, we might have a different situation where the backlog is cleared and these are, but generally it is 10 to 12 months from once you submit your spousal sponsorship application. Okay, all right, I'll ask one. RCC candidates exempt from sharing POF regardless of their employment status? Yes, they are, but it is still technically CEC are, but it is still advisable to show some funds because there can be at times issues. So if you're on a job, or if you have those funds available, or if you're on a job or you've been earning, it's always good to attach those documentation. But yes, it's not a requirement, but case officers can later on ask. Sumit, my mother has a name variation on my some documents. Do I need to have affidavit for that? And what is the format of that? Simple notary based affidavit is enough or not? Usually simple notary based affidavits are enough. This will depend largely on the kind of variance that is there, and what documents are there, how much of variance that is. So yes, in South Asia at times there can be titles and castes and tribe name, which are part of your name. On some documents you would have it, and on some you wouldn't have it. So if it is just that, it's kind of fine, and an explanation is good enough through an affidavit. But this will depend on documents. But a simple affidavit, which is notarized, is usually enough. If you can get hold of a government documentation which explains this, that's even great. But then again, it depends if you're able to source that or not. Ali Aftab, sir, I am Ali Aftab from Pakistan. I'm an interior designer with 2 years of work experience. How much? Ali, I've sort of already answered that on your Facebook-based query. Karthik, how officers do background check of our experience, and when will they raise ADR even after submitting all required information in reference letter? Now, how do they do their background check? Each officer can deploy different tools. So many of them, and this can vary. For some cases, depending how is your experience letter written, what companies have you worked for, the credibility of those companies, from which country you're applying, all these things do matter. Sometimes they would only look at the work reference letter and not bother doing a check at all. And this happens. At times, they would write to the contact person which is mentioned on the reference letter. So it can be an email, it can be a call as well. So they can ring them up. It can be the case officer, and it can be the relevant high commission within that particular country. They can do their own background checks where people can actually go to these workplaces. But that's rare. Usually it is the first two instances, just looking at the experience letters, or doing an email or a telephonic check. At times they look at the LinkedIn profiles. So do keep that consistent with what you've put in your profile as well. They do look at social media profiles as well. And then there are other various tools wherein sometimes they can check with the local authorities as well, depending which country you're applying from, taxation documents as well. But the most widely used is confirming through a telephone call or through an email. So that's how most of checks are done. They can always raise ADR. And this is common where you've already submitted a form as part of your original PR application, and you've provided all the documentation, and still they would ask for more documentation. So this is something very, very common. You've provided all the information, you can still expect an ADR. And if you're asking about the timelines, that can vary as well. So some applications would have an ADR and still be processed very quickly. Some might not have an ADR at all, and it might take close to about 6 months. Some may have an ADR right away. You provide it, then it takes a few months. So it varies from case to case. There's a lot of dependence on the case officers which are involved. Okay, so Ali, you asked previously, cousin wouldn't really help you a lot. Now, again, cousin, if it is a first cousin, yes, you provide those details. It might be, but it has to be your sibling. But if you have a cousin, you can mention that in your application, and this might help. But the chances are not. Bharat asks, Bharat or Bharat, sorry again, my bad with the pronunciation. Hi Shariq, can you please tell me if the country of residence makes any difference in getting an invitation, as I have lodged an application from Australia? No, it doesn't. You have to meet your points requirements. Bharat, I don't know where in Australia you are right now. I've studied and lived in Australia for long. I studied at Macquarie University in Sydney, and I've worked for Australia for long. Lovely place. Still, it is in terms of countries, it is my first love. So I hope you're enjoying your time over there. Do mention and comment that which city you are based in. So coming back to your question, no, it doesn't really matter. You have to meet the point threshold. So if you've applied for, say, express entry and you're looking at the federal skilled worker program, maybe what will matter is that what is your score. Yes, once you submit your you get the invitation and you submit your documentation, then it can matter, and for the reason that if you're in Australia, you have work experience documentation from Australia, from companies, there is taxation documents. The processing might not take all that long. The scrutiny might not be at a higher level, maybe compared to somebody who's applying from a developing country. So that will matter, but in terms of invitation, it is your CRS score, or if you're applying for a provincial nomination program, the CRS score or the score for that PNP grid, what matters, not which country you're applying from. Prabhu, hi Shariq, can I consider the US-Canada border opening is an indication of drop in FSW CRSS? I'm holding CRS. Well, too many things, and to connect them to the CRS drop, not really. The US-Canada border opening, there's other reasons for it. There's a lot of trade between these two countries. Canada's largest export market is US. There's a lot of families. There is a lot of people who hold dual citizenships over here. So that has to do with that, and nothing to do with FSW as such. Okay, Sumit, difference between RCIC and ICCRC member. Very good question. ICCRC, and this is for everybody's understanding, ICCRC is Immigration Consultants of Canada Regulatory Council. So this is the regulatory body which is developed by the government and the policy and the laws to regulate immigration consulting profession. RCIC stands for Regulated Canadian Immigration Consultant. So anybody who is a member of ICCRC is called an RCIC. I know it's confusing, the words. So ICCRC is the regulatory body. It's more like in any country, you have a bar council, or you have a medical or a dental council or an engineering council. So ICCRC is the council, is the bar, if you want to call it, the council, which regulates the profession, which gives out the license, which regulates what the education is there for immigration consulting, the legal education that is there. And every year, the rigorous licensing process that we have to follow. And RCIC is the title for the members. So ICCRC being the council, just like you have the medical council, and if it is a doctor, so the relation is like a doctor and the medical council. So hope I explained that. Bharat, just a follow-up question that right now I am sitting on 472 CRS. Should I keep waiting for an IT, or else should I go for PNPs? If there are PNPs where you feel that you can submit a separate application, you should definitely try that. It's so competitive these days that I advise people that you should look for the first available opportunity which gets you in, and not just wait for the ideal program or stream that you would want to immigrate through. So if there is a PNP that you feel you have a chance, just go for it. Keep in mind with 472, if your profession, and as I mentioned about a few of the professions that Ontario has in demand, if you're within one of those professions, you do not need a separate application. If you're part of the express entry pool, you have this score and you have this knock. Whenever they do their draws, you get an invitation to proceed with the PNP application. Same is the case with Alberta. Some other provinces, you have to submit your your nomination. 472 is a good score. Can't really say when it will fall to 472 because now there isn't much clarity as to how these what will the pattern of the draws. We've seen just CEC, we've seen all inclusive, then we've seen the alternate one, but 472 is a good score. You can wait for the all inclusive, the FSWP draw, depending when you lose your points for age or something. If you have a few months in hand, definitely I think 472 will get an invitation. Moving on. Sam111, Assalamu alaikum, sir. Wa alaikum salam. I have 300,000 Canadian dollars. I was working in Kuwait as a ladies tailor. I have 12th, which is distance education in 2019. I have done any suggestion for me? Based on what your education is, most likely you will, highly likely, you will not be able to obtain Canadian immigration through any of the skilled migration stream. You might look at investment opportunities. So there is a program called the owner-operator work permit or labor market impact assessment. With 300,000 Canadian dollars, you can definitely look at buying a business here in Canada. Ideally, $200,000 and above is a good amount to look for a business in Canada. You establish that business. On the basis of that business, then you can move to Canada on a work permit, and based on that, there are options to apply for PR under express entry. But we still have to have a look at a lot of things, like in terms of your age, your qualification, because now immigration officers have been a little tough on granting the owner-operator work permits only if it is really supporting a PR application subsequently. So if that is a possibility, then you can have the owner-operator thing done. If you would like to discuss that in that case and use our services, send an email on the email address which is there on the screen. It's in the corner, info@shariqimmigration.com, and my staff will get back to you for further details. Hassan Nadeem, and Hassan is an ex-colleague as well. Hi Hassan, I hope you're enjoying Vancouver. My sister-in-law is waiting for her decision on spousal visa. It's been almost 2 years. Medical is done. How to get an update? Call the IRCC contact center. Provide them with application details, and they can let you know where it is. At times, it can take a lot of time. The average time before COVID was about 10 to 12 months, average processing times. And because of the whole COVID situation, a lot of applications which were just at the tail end have now been stuck. So they've already hit, say, about 16, 18, 20 months mark. And also, depending on a scrutiny level for a specific application, it can take time. But ring up IRCC. The contact center has long wait times, but you can definitely get an update from them as to where your application is. Sam, 300,000 mobile money, net worth around $350,000. It is a detailed assessment. You have to write to us. I can't really be doing that assessment over here because there's a lot of factors that you have to have a look at. As I mentioned, submit an email and then we'll have to do an official review and assessment of that. So get in touch through email and we'll let you know what the process is if you would want to have your assessment done and your case processed through our firm. These are paid services for sure, but you have to contact through email. Bharat, hi Shariq, I'm based in Sydney as well, but it's getting hard here to get a PR. So I would say my first love would be Canada soon, hopefully. Bharat, brilliant. I lived in Sydney, and that's between. So I lived in Lakemba, I lived in Paxtown, I lived in Campsie, and so lovely, lovely place. And then. If you like cricket, there's brilliant stuff that happens. But yes, you can move to Canada, you get the PR, and now I know it's very difficult to get PR in Australia these days. So definitely applying for Canada is a good option, although it's becoming competitive here as well. You can become a Canadian PR, but you can still have your first love as Australia and Sydney. That's my case. My first love in terms of countries outside of my country of birth goes to Australia always. Although I like Canada as well. Sam 111, and second question. My wife has been 12th in 2008. She wants to continue his study in Canada. Is there any chance to get some? Yes, gap, they can still apply. You have to develop a proper strong case. Now, very honestly, it will be hard um, telling you the exact answer to this case like this. You have to write to us, book a consultation session. We'll review all your details and then give you a specific answer. What happens is that a lot of times, and this is the difference. Somebody asked about the RCIC. We are a regulated profession. We have studied the law, Canadian immigration law. We've gone through training, and then we have this license. Every year, there is courses that we do. We are bound by a code of professional ethics and to have certain knowledge. So we only advise on the basis of law, and we do it in a certain manner because we are then accountable for it. For a lot of consultants that you will find around the world, they have not been trained about Canadian immigration law, and they can just say whatever and then sign you up, and then you're stuck with them after spending so much money. With us, definitely, we're not going to do it free of cost. You have to book consultations. We look at all the details and then provide you an advice. I wouldn't say that yes, it is possible just to attract you as a client for my firm. You have to get in touch with us, book a consultation, provide all the details, and then in that session, that one-on-one session, I can tell you that these are the options, or you do not have a strong possibility. You might be better off looking at some other options. Bharat, it will be great if you can tell me the process of applying for PR for parents, as well as I am the only child of parents. You can apply for your parents' PR after you've become a PR, and it's not right away. So the way it works is, the first you can apply for a visit visa. Then there is a super visa. For super visa, you must show income, a certain income level. That is so at least 1 year, and then for parents PR, you have to show certain income level for last 3 years from within Canada. So that will only be possible once you've been in Canada for at least 3 years. It might be a little more than that. And then there is an annual number. There's a quota. Usually it's about 10,000. This year, because of the COVID situation, it didn't open. But normally every year it is about 10,000. So that's how you do it once you become a PR. Okay, so we are already at about 48 minutes mark, another about 10 minutes. Abdullah Zaidi, hi Shariq, I lost 5 points to come down to 465 from 470. I have more or less a year now at 465. I'm also maxed out at CLB 10 for English, currently thinking of doing French and gaining. I know it's a tough situation for a lot of people. I can't really say if it will fall down to 465. It's been very competitive. My own assessment very early on was that it will drop down to 460s, late 60s maybe. Now I don't really feel like that. With recent draws and the scores that and the composition of pool that we've seen, it seems that really high CRS scoring people have entered the pool for both FSWP streams as well as CEC streams. So it's competitive, and with this alternate draw for various streams. If this continues, then the all-inclusive cutoff scores are not expected to drop too much. Yes, you could look at that, like doing French. It's not all that easy, but if you have to really achieve something, you have to give it a shot. You could also, I'm not sure what knock you have. You could also look at the option of the Ontario nominee program as well. Yeah, so that's all that I can suggest to you. Perfect. I think that's all the questions that we have, and we are already close to about 50 points mark. General feedback from those who are right now watching this live stream right now, I would like to invite your opinion in terms of the suitable day. Like I've done some events on Saturday, some of these sessions on Sunday. Saturday suits me a little more because then I have the whole weekend for my family time, and now I'm doing these sessions from my home. But I'd like to know if Saturday is a better opportunity, or Sunday suits people well. Also, that's sort of pretty much it. So I'd greatly appreciate if I can have feedback from people who watch these live. I know these are available so people can watch them later as well, but for those who watch it live, if you could provide that kind of feedback. We have another person commenting, and that's Rangika. Hi, is there any chance to international students to get PR through MNP program? Still not launched yet. For programs which are not still launched, I think you're talking about the municipal nomination program. Can't really predict about those programs which are not launched, and I don't really like to give any statements just in the air. International students do have opportunities through a lot of other streams. The PNPs that are there, all of them have programs through international student, have pathways for international students. So the opportunities for international students are a lot. If a lot of these nominee programs, the RNIP and others, international students do have opportunities through them as well, because once you finish your studies in Canada, you have a postgraduate work permit. It can be between, say, 1 year to 3 years, depending on the length of your studies. So on that basis, you can start working. And if nothing else, if you work well for an organization, that organization might actually support your PR application through offering you a further job offer, which is supported by an LMIA. So international students do have better opportunities, not specifically through the MNP. MNP will again have more opportunities for international students who've come to Canada compared with people who are outside of Canada. But I can't really comment specifically on MNP streams right now, Rangika. So hopefully I've sort of answered that and clarified that. And Bharat, both days are fine for me. Shariq, perfect. For now I'll stick to Saturday because that sort of helps me. It's still morning, close to the midday time here, and then I have time for my family. So thank you to all of you for being part of today's session. The previous sessions, I would request all of you to support my channel by liking the videos and sharing it with others, commenting, because that sort of helps, and the algorithm helps me. And this is sort of something I do on the side along with running my immigration firm. So do provide that support. Queries and questions, do post them in the comment section. There are a lot of videos. I do a lot of videos which are about the general topics. So watch these videos and you will get a lot of clarification on various processes and topics of Canadian immigration. And I'm not the best at making the videos. Like, I'm not a videographer, but I would definitely say that if you compare these videos with a lot of other videos which are done by social media content creators, you will find specific information. Because I'm an RCIC, I have the expert knowledge of immigration. So you'll be able to get realistic information and not just sensationalized statements saying so easy when it's not even realistic. So once again, thanks for watching. Enjoy the weekend with your family, with your loved ones, wherever you are. Till the next weekend, take good care of yourself. Bye.